right. All right. All right. You are looking live. It's sold out MetLife Stadium with today. The 16-0 and playoff bound New York Giants are taking on the 0-16 Green Bay Packers. And why are the Green Bay Packers 0-16? Because they suck. Man, it never gets old. Welcome to the Gridiron. Anybody out there at all that's going to spend a little bit of time with me here this evening, thank you. Or if anybody's going to spend any time watching a replay this, once again, thank you so much on the bottom of my heart. It means the world to me. Thank you. Going to try to go about 30 minutes here tonight. Shoot my mouth off for about 30 minutes. Anybody got anything to say, please feel free to fire away, throw it in the chat box. I usually try to check on the chat box like every 5 or 10 minutes or so. So as soon as I see something in there, I try to respond to it as fast as I can. So please feel free and fire away. But plus also, instead of me just rambling on for half an hour, 45 minutes, or whatever it might wind up being, it's just nice to talk to another Giant fan. So please feel free and fire away. Before I get started, if anybody wants to help support my channel out, it would mean the absolute world to me. In the description box below, the top link in the description box takes you to my membership page. I got 3 different membership levels. The first one's called the Saquon, second one's called the Lawrence Taylor, and the third membership level I got is called the Gridiron. Each one's got their own little perks to them, so if you want to help support my channel out, it would mean so much to me, and I thank you in advance. Thank you. If you're subscribed to my channel, once again, thank you so much. I could use all the support I can get, guys. But if not, please go down below, hit that bell icon, hit that subscribe button, because next time I put out a video or go live, you'll be notified. And it's free of charge. What do you got to lose, right? But if you're subscribed to my channel, thank you so much. Got to move the chair for my buddy Randy here. Hold on. All right, buddy. Randy's here. All right, we can continue. Randy's here. And then finally, also in the description box, a little ways down, there's 2 links. The top one's a Facebook link, which I'll go over in just a second. The bottom one, it's Twitter. It's always, to me anyway, it's always been Twitter. It's Twitter today. It'll be Twitter tomorrow. 3 trillion years from now, to me anyway, it'll be Twitter. Whatever letter of the alphabet Elon Musk wants to call it, that's on him. I'm not calling it. It's Twitter. I try to put stuff in there every day, Giant related, of course. So if you follow me on Twitter, I will follow you back. That's an absolute promise. And then also, finally, the link just above it, it's a Facebook link. It takes you to my Facebook group. It's called the New York Giants, the Gridiron. Very original, I know. We have over 7,300 members in the group. It's doing simply marvelous, might I add. Basically, if I'm alive and breathing, and if I have internet access, I'm putting stuff in this group darn near 365. And if you become a member, not only do I put stuff in here, but members post stuff in here as well. So between me and the members, every day there's a boatload of New York Giants information going in here every day. Please, it's called the New York Giants, the Gridiron. It's a Facebook group. Join it, please. You won't be dissatisfied. I promise. All right, we're all stuff said and done and out of the way with. All right. Well, we're getting, we got, we have 2. I mean, it's Saturday night, soon to be Sunday morning, but we have 2. Might I add one more time, 2 very exciting nights coming. 2. I mean, tomorrow night we got the birdies, right, and the boys or the girls, the she-girls, the she-gals, or whatever you want to call it, and the cowgirls. What a rumble down in Texas that baby's going to be. Holy cow, Batman. It's for, I can't say all the marbles because after this, there's still 4 weeks left. Anything could still happen. But I believe what I'm reading, it is for first place. So if the Cowboys win, they'll both be 10-3. But I think, well, I'm just what I saw. I don't know for sure, but what I'm seeing and hearing, Cowboys will be in first place. The Eagles will be in second. But be 10-3. But still 4 games to go. The Cowboys have it a little bit tougher because the Cowboys have the Lions and then the Dolphins coming up. Then they finish the season, I know, with the Commanders and somebody else. The Eagles have, right? They have the Cowboys. Then they got the Seahawks in Seattle. Not going to be easy at all. Not going to be easy at all. I mean, Seattle's fighting for the playoff life. Seattle, the Eagles don't have a very good defense. Seattle can move the ball, as they did very well on the Cowboys' defense. So, Seattle can move up and down the field. The problem is with Seattle is their defense. Can their defense stop anybody? That's the question there for them. But, I mean, Seattle's got, I mean, they just get done playing like the Cowboys, and they played the 49ers, and they played the Cowboys. They got to play the 49ers again. Then they got to play the Eagles. They got a tough stretch here, real tough stretch. All these games are very important. I mean, literally about a month and a half or so ago, I think they were 6-2 or 5-2 or something like that. They were in first place. When San Fran lost like 3 games in a row, Seattle, boom, was in first place for like a week or so. Then all they've been doing is losing. Ever since they got Leonard Williams from us, and we got a second-round pick for him, it's really working out well because Seattle just keeps losing, and that draft pick just keeps going keeps getting better and better and better. It was like in the late 50s or whatever. Now it's like pick 52 or something like that. So if Seattle loses tomorrow to San Fran, it's going to be might be a top 50 pick. And then they got the Eagles again. I mean, so San Fran, I apologize. Seattle's has a little tough road to go, but so do the Cowboys. I mean, of course, I said the Eagles. The Eagles have to play the Cowboys, right? And then they got to play the Seahawks. But then they have like 3. I don't even know why to even bother putting these games. Just joking, of course. Why do you even bother putting these games on the schedule for the Eagles? Got 2 against the Giants and 1 against the Cardinals. Real tough schedule. Anyway, but I mean, that game, that's going to be a rumble in the jungle there. Let me tell you what, that game is going to be. I mean, if the Eagles win, that just shuts the Cowboys up, just shuts them up. And basically, that would give the Eagles a 2-game lead. They had the head-to-head advantage. So, I mean, the Eagles would have to pretty much fall apart somehow against the Cardinals and the Giants. Don't see that happening. And then they would have to lose to Seattle, and somehow the Cowboys would have to lose. I think it's on the road to Detroit. They would have, and they're on the road against the Dolphins as well too. So I mean, so if the Eagles win, pretty much they got the number one. I mean, without it being official, you can pretty much almost sewed up the NFC East if they win tomorrow. However, if the Cowboys win, the Final Four. Going to be some big ones. But then, I mean, so that's tomorrow night. But then, of course, Monday night football. It'd be interesting to see after the Giants, the season that the Giants had this season, how many primetime games will be on next year. I mean, you can see probably a Monday night game, a Sunday night game, and a Thursday night game. Are we on? Will we have 13 primetime games just kidding, of course, like we did this season, or it was just like maybe just down to 3? I mean, 3 would be good. So it'd be interesting to see after this. But we got some injury updates. We got it going over here. We're going to go over the I see this is for going over the Packers offense. This is from SI.com. All right. Now, let's first of all, I want to go over some of these injuries here. All right, go over the injuries here. Because the Packers, they got a couple guys a little dinged up. A couple guys are going to be out. A couple of guys maybe a little questionable or whatever. So, they won't be going to full strength. I mean, and the thing is what's going to help the Giants. The Giants obviously have a couple key guys that won't be playing either as well. But the Giants have been off basically 15 days. Right, the Packers have been, had some tough game. They played the Lions, of course, but then they played the tough game against the Chiefs. So Packers have been playing, every week though, right? So the Giants have had a little bit of time off, but so the Packers got a couple injuries going on here, right? They'll be without their speed receiver Christian Watson. Okay. According to the Packers' final injury report of the week leading up to the Monday night matchup, Watson has been ruled out of the game due to a hamstring injury that popped up on Sunday night. I believe, if I remember correctly, it was like toward the end of the game. So that's huge for the Giants. That's huge. Watson previously dealt with a hamstring injury earlier in the season, which cost him action in the first 3 games of the year. At this point, there is no indication how long Watson will be out for. It could be the rest of the season. But it is a positive sign that the team hasn't placed him on injury reserve, which would ensure that he would not play for several weeks, obviously. Oh, yeah. In place of Watson, assume that one of my favorite guys in the whole wide world is on this team. Dante Vion, I guess it is. Dante Vion. But his last name is Wicks. And so is mine. So in place, assume that Dante Vion Wicks, no relationship, of course, who is the team's 4th most played receiver, will see an uptick in snaps against the Giants. In the first month of the season with Watson out, Wicks, no relationship, please, right? Played between 50% and 66% of the snaps. Wicks snaps dropped from 22% to 4. Since Watson returned to the lineup, the Wicks snaps dropped to a 22 to a 44% range. So, he's playing maybe like a quarter to a third of the snaps now, just say pretty much. But you'll see Wicks in there, not me. You won't see me in there. Along with Watson, it's unlikely that the Packers will be playing inside linebacker Quay Walker. He has a shoulder problem, who was listed as doubtful for the game. Let's see. I assume that Isaiah McDuffie is going to get the majority of the snaps next to Devondre Campbell, though McDuffie is often subbed out in obvious passing situations for Eric Wilson. Due to several injuries at the inside linebacker position in 2023, McDuffie is expected to make his 7th start of the season on Monday. Players who the Packers listed as questionable for this game is cornerback Jair Alexander. He's got a shoulder. Running back Aaron Jones with a knee. Safety Darnell Savage with a chest. And cornerback Eric Stokes with a hamstring. Stokes is still on the injury reserve, but he is practicing with the team. So, when asked about his status, head coach Matt LaFleur said that Stokes could potentially play against the Giants and actually see some defensive snaps in the game. But so if he does play, don't look for anything major, especially with a hamstring. Don't look for any big time amount of snaps from him. I would be rather shocked if he's out there that much. Let's see here. Players who were previously given statuses earlier in the week but are in for the game against the Giants is Devondre Campbell, A.J. Dillon, Rashawn Gary. I wish he would miss the game. Jenkins with a shoulder, Jonathan Owens with a knee, and Jaden Reed at chest, and defensive lineman Devontae Wyatt with an elbow. So they got some guys who are banged up, obviously. But the Giants are obviously trending in the getting healthy. But of course, it looks like we're going to be without Waller once again. And the Giants ruled out right tackle Evan Neal once again, who will miss his 4th consecutive game with an ankle injury. So now this will be he's had 30 career games and he's missed 10 of them. So he's missed a third of his career games. Next season's going to be huge for him. Not only can he uptick his play, get his play looking a little bit better, but can the guy stay healthy? How many games is Evan Neal going to miss next season? Neal has missed 6 of the past 7 games with separate ankle injuries. Now, he injured one ankle. Now he's injured the other ankle, right? Defensive tackle Dexter Lawrence is questionable with a hamstring injury that kept him out of the Giants' Week 12 game. He was listed as limited in 3 practices this week. Tight end Daniel Bellinger with an illness. Paris Campbell with a knee. A'Shawn Robinson with a hamstring. Isaiah Simmons with an ankle are all questionable for the game against the Packers on Monday night. Backup quarterback Tyrod Taylor Ribs does not have a designation after a week of full practices, so he's good to go. But of course, Waller won't be in there either. So I mean, the Giants, we're trending, obviously in the right direction. We're not exactly sure, how long it's going to wind up being. For Waller, he could be back. I saw something that he's possibly trending maybe to be back against the Saints, which could be huge. I mean, if the Giants could pull off a win here on Monday night, be 5-8, that Saint game would wind up being huge, absolutely huge, especially for Danny DeVito, for Tommy DeVito, Tommy Chicken Cutlet Parmigiana. Hey, chicken cutlets, a little lasagna there. It'll be huge for him, absolutely huge for him. There's like a little safety security blanket or whatever. I mean, because as I said, let's not forget, Tommy Chicken Cutlets has not played with Darren Waller, right? So that would be huge for him. So let's hope he's trending in the right direction. As I said, with Evan Neal, I have no idea. Yeah, if and when he'll be back. The thing is, that you figure is that when he injured his other ankle, you figure if they thought or knew whatever he was going to miss 4 games, they'd put him on maybe injured reserve, miss 4 weeks, and he could come back. But it is what it is. We'll have to wait and see. But I mean, like with Neal, I mean, we're going to go over a little bit more on him in a second. But I mean, it just you want to see more tape on him as well, too. You know what I mean? Because, once again, he's only played 20 games. He's barely played over a full season, right? At pick 7, you like that. You want to really, I mean, it doesn't have to be where he's, you plug and play and we'll see in the whole thing, brother, in 10 years. It doesn't, I mean, but, he's got to, obviously you want him to get better. But, I mean, the only way he's going to get better, he's got to play. And, the only way he can play, he's got to stay healthy. So it's like catch-20. He's, can he stay healthy? Then if he is healthy, can he perform better? Now, one of the things he keeps having these ankle injuries, right? It was kind of like with Andrew Thomas, his first season. He had ankle problems and he had some problem with his feet, right? I mean, you try to set an edge or, go back, right, and try to, plant yourself or what, anchor into the ground against some of these freakish athletes coming off the edge. I mean, it's almost impossible. Now with Evan Neal, his ankle injuries, good luck and God bless trying to take somebody coming off the edge, right? And of course, what they do is if they see you struggling there, what are they going to do? Who are they going to put their best pass rusher on? Andrew Thomas or Evan Hopalong Cassidy Neal, right? With his bad ankle. Well, you don't got to be a rocket scientist to figure out they're going to put their best pass rusher or, right on top of Evan, right? So he needs to obviously show some improvement. But it's also important because, I mean, as far as, what like maybe Shane and Dable might want to do with him, let's get some more evidence. What can he do? Does he look like he's kind of trending in the right direction? Especially, I mean, as I said, like this draft coming up. If the Giants wind up picking in the top 10, say they're picking 6 to 8 or 6 to 9 or something like whatever, right? They're picking in the top 10. There's a chance. You tell me I got a chance. There's a chance, right? Now, once again, please forget, I'm too stupid to remember the guys, the tackle's name from Penn State, but Alt from Notre Dame. Apparently, like they got those 2 guys, right? And, you hear these blue chip guys or whatever like that, almost like plug and play guys. You draft them, you put them there. We'll see you in 10 years, brother. Just we'll resign you to a new contract when you're up. You just stay at right tackle, and we're good. So because the thing we just hate, the Giants have to work the defensive line and the offensive line. That's what we need to concentrate on. We need another edge rusher. We can't rely on Azeez Ojulari. We got Kayvon. We need another edge rusher. And if you're trying to get to the upper echelon with the Eagles, the 49ers, the Lions got a great offensive line. The Cowboys with their defensive, you got to compete with the big boys, right? We got to build up the offensive and the defensive line, right? The thing that would just kind of tick you off a little bit is if you had a chance to draft one of these tackles, right? And, you got Andrew Thomas. And of course, you hear these blue chippers. I mean, it doesn't mean it's 100% stone cold locked in, that they're going to be successful. But there's a pretty good chance they're going to be successful. And it would just kind of piss you off a little bit. Well, let's give Evan Neal another season. If he stays healthy and if he works on it, maybe he'll work his way into a decent kind of maybe. Let's just say it would just kind of piss you off, me anyway, because I'm an old fart. If you got Andrew Thomas and you hopefully Michael Schmitz will work on. He's had a nice season. He's not perfect by any stretch of the imagination. I hope he works on his craft. Hopefully he'll get a little bit better as time goes by. That's all he can ask for, right? So we got our left tackle, we have our center, and if you could just draft one of these other tackles and just put that guy there, then you almost pretty much know you got your left tackle, you got your right tackle. We don't have to worry. Is Evan Neal? Is he gonna work his way? Is he gonna stay out? You don't have to worry about that because now you got your two tackles and you got your center. Put Evan Neal in, maybe right next and left guard. That's what he played at Alabama. We're going to go over that in a little bit, right? But you got your tackles. You're not like, well, is he going to stay out? You don't have to worry about that. You got your two tackles and you got your center, right? As I said, the Giants, they have to work on the trenches. Going to be rocket scientists to figure out we need help on the offensive line, right? As I said, if we want to maybe get a guard maybe in the second round, but I said, but we got to get somebody. We got to get somebody next to Sexy, right? And we got to get another edge rusher. Azeez usually has a hard time staying healthy, and this season it's like, where are the sacks at? Right? We have 21 sacks, half of them are from Kayvon. It's like, man, he took a step back big time. Last season he did really good with this small amount of time. Kayvon I'm talking about. Not Kayvon. Azeez. Forgive me. Azeez. Azeez did very, very well, his stats-wise, for the amount of time that he was on the field. And I talked about this last time. I think it was Carl Banks, at the beginning of the season, said, if Azeez stays healthy, once again, of course that didn't happen, but he said, if Azeez stays healthy, he said, I bet you he might get 15 sacks this year. Because he looked so good last year when he was healthy. Nothing. I think he has already had like 9 pressures so far this season. He doesn't have a whole boatload of tackles. It's like, where's he at? And behind him, it's like, who else do we have? Right? Who else do we have? Boogie Basham, Jihad Ward. It's like, we need, we need, edge rushers. We need somebody next to Dexter. And once again, it's, that's the thing about trying to build the roster. Okay, well, we'll build the roster in the draft and the free agency, but unfortunately, as you're trying to build the roster, you're losing guys. You traded Leonard Williams away. You need somebody to replace Azeez Ojulari, or you at least need another, edge rusher. We still need offensive linemen, And then, of course, Adoree Jackson goes. Do we have somebody to replace him? Are we going to re-sign Saquon, right? If not, we might need somebody to help me replace him. Are we going to re-sign Xavier McKinney? If we let him go, do we think we have somebody on the roster who can take his spot, or we might need another save? So it's like, it's not like we have all our guys and with the draft and the free agency, we'll just keep adding to the guys we have. No, you're losing guys, and then you bring more guys in, replace them. But now we still need guys. So it's tough. It's really, really tough. I would hate being a GM. It's whew. But looking at here, Packers offense. Now, the Giants, they're going to have a hard time, especially if Dexter Lawrence is not 100%. We'll find out. But it says this season, the big storyline for the Packers has been that they no longer have Aaron Rodgers as their signal caller, and have shifted to giving Jordan Love the opportunity of a franchise quarterback. Love this season has 2,866 passing yards, 22 touchdowns, and 10 interceptions, 236 rushing yards, and 2 rushing touchdowns. His dual threat ability has been a big part of the game for extending plays with his legs and picking up first down scrambling. And that's a killer. You get like 3rd and 7 or 6 or whatever it is. You get, I mean, he drops back in the pocket. You're in coverage. You got the guys covered and stuff like that. And he runs out of the pocket, picks up 8 yards, first down and 10. It's like, oh man, what the, you couldn't keep him in the pocket. That's a killer. Aaron Jones has struggled the entire season to stay healthy and is listed as questionable for this game. Jones has just 67 carries on the year so far in 7 games, being able unable to finish games. In his place, A.J. Dillon has been the lead back. Dillon right now is 521 yards, but he's just averaging 3.5 yards a carry, right? But he's made his presence felt as a safety valve in the passing game as well. Dillon has 20 catches right now and has been specifically helpful for the Packers in the screen game. The receiving room for Green Bay is young and fast. They're the youngest team in the NFL. Of course, the second youngest team is the New York Giants. And if we ever get rid of Graham Gano, I mean, I hope he comes back healthy and all of that and everything. But if he ever leaves, the Giants are going to get a whole heck of a lot younger, because if you get rid of a 36-year-old, that's going to make your team younger. So, but the 2 youngest teams in the NFL, Green Bay Packers, New York Giants. So one of the worst things would be is if we were this crappy and we had a bunch of veterans and stuff on here. So at least this way you can say we got a bunch of young guys, and hopefully they'll start gelling and working better and all and everything. And we're gonna get them even younger too. But add some pieces in the draft. Now, of course, all depending upon where Seattle winds up finishing, we got 3 picks in the top 50. That's 3. And I don't want to curse and say plug and play players, but that's 3 guys that should have a lot of opportunity for snaps next season. 3 guys, and then you figure our 3rd round pick. Well, we don't have. Well, let's see. I'd have to figure a 3rd round pick would be. We got maybe 4 in the top 75 or so. So, we could do a little bit of damage this year in the draft, right? Let's see here. We got Jaden Reed is emerging as their dynamic slot receiver. Christian Watson and Romeo Doubs have also taken strides on the outside this season. So they got some young guys, right? The trio's combined for 1,440 receiving yards and 17 touchdowns this season so far. So they're on pace, right, for over 20 receivers, because they still got 5 games to go. They're on pace for, if they played, 12 games, 17 times, they're averaging about a touchdown and a half a game. So in 5 more games, they're going to get another 6, 7, 8 touchdowns. So the trio of receivers are on pace for close to 22 to 23, 24 touchdowns. So the offense thrives through that trio and their connection with Jordan Love. They're all young. They're all coming up together, and they're going to gel together. So look for the Packers to be, at least an offensive threat going as the years go by, right? At tight end, Luke Musgrave is on the injury reserve and isn't available for this game. In his place, Tucker Kraft and Josiah Dugora, I'm going to say, have been the main players. Dugora playing a hybrid tight end fullback role. Their scheme. Matt LaFleur is one of my favorite offensive play callers. This is from Sports Illustrated. He's primarily a zone-based rushing attack with gap-based schemes mixed in with pre-snap motion that operates at pretty much 11 and 12 personnel primarily. Usually they got the one running back, pretty much, right? The run game they have here is where I think LaFleur likes to find his groove offensively. As mentioned earlier, this running back room isn't healthy and hasn't been healthy for the entire season, but LaFleur continues to lean on the run game, which is very important. Very, very important. The gap scheme mixed in with probably look familiar to the Giants fans is 2 of my favorite concepts that have been pillars for Green Bay and are concepts this Giants staff likes as well. Counter and pin pull concepts get players to lead blocks for backs across the formation. Let's see here. It says, given the injuries, Jaden Reed has gotten more involved in the rushing game in recent weeks on jet sweeps and around. So, just because the play looks like it's going one way, we have to hold, the edge at in the backside. We can't become running down the line of scrimmage, try to make a tackle, right, in the back when the guy, then somebody, goes the other way around the edge, right? It says, LaFleur's offense is about getting defenders to look one way and send the ball the other way, right? So you have to stay, disciplined. All things discussed in this section are about that. The pre-snap motion with Reed running counter and what we're about to discuss in their play action pass game. By the way, 25.8% of Love's passes have come off of play action. 1/4 of his pass plays, play action. And that's where the Packers like to take their deep shots as well. They'll also call screens off of play action, but the deep shots are where they like to mix in all of the concepts we've discussed to create big plays. Love has been electric with play action this season, completing 70% of his passes, 82% of accounting for drops. So with drop passes, he's basically completing 82% of his passes. He has 7 touchdowns with just 3 interceptions and a passer rating of 108.7 with play action passes. So play action, they do very well. Love's arm strength allows the Packers to push the ball to the sidelines frequently, more aggressively than most quarterbacks. Now, what this means for the Giants, where Jordan Love has struggled this season, is when he's under pressure. Can the Giants get some pressure? Now, whether Sexy's in there or not, get some pressure up the middle would be huge. Kayvon, we need a big game from him. Whoever's on the other side, we can use some pressure as well, too. When pressure closes in, Love tends to try to force passes downfield, leading to some of the riskiest throws of the offseason. So, if we can get Sexy in there, that would be huge, especially if he can push the pocket. That would be huge. But with his hamstring, it's going to be one of those tricky things, right? It says, however, I don't think there's a week where the Giants should be over-aggressive with their blitzes. Well, I got to tell Wink Martindale that. As Love tends to get rid of the ball quickly when the blitz is recognized, LaFleur tends to make over-aggressive defensive pay by attacking horizontally. Whether that's the Jaden Reed sweep, pin-pull toss, or a simple screen, LaFleur loves it when opposing defenses get too aggressive, and that's what the Giants do. Rushing 4 defenders and trying to cover downfield routes should be the focal point here for Wink Martindale. Well, try to hit home with 4 and get Love to force throws into coverage downfield while sitting in a zone, keeping eyes in the backfield to avoid being left vulnerable to trickery. Final thoughts. The Giants have strung together defensive performances this season and are coming off a bye week. They should be refreshed to face a Packers offense hitting all cylinders. Hopefully this extra week of prep can get the front 4 juiced up and into the backfield, and the secondary can capitalize on mental errors. Well, you also got to remember, Sean Robinson, he's a little dinged up, right? Sexy, the hamstring, he's not going to, let's hope he's 100%. But, Nunez, Roaches, right? Whoever's opposing Kayvon, right? So, I don't know if the Giants are going to be able to get a ton of a huge pass rush with their front 4. So that's going to, what's Wink going to do? Is what you just read there. If you can get pressure with your front 4 and have at least 7 in coverage, that helps against Love. If you start blitzing guys left and right, you almost feed in right into Love's strengths right there. So it's gonna be interesting. I said the Packers are not full strength. They got some guys who are banged up. The running game is not phenomenal, which helps because the Giants' run defense has not been phenomenal either. So it's it's going to be tough for the Giants. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. It's not going to be easy against the Giants. The Packers are coming in a little dinged up, but they've been on a roll. But they've also played some tough games. At the Chargers, right? But a tough game against the Lions, and they played the Chiefs very, very well. So be tough. Be a tough game. All right, then we got Evan Neal here now. Evan Neal. All right, good old Evan. Is he a better fit at guard or tackle? This is some Giants country here. Let's see. When the Giants drafted offensive lineman Evan Neal, the hope was that they had found their bookend to line up opposing on the opposite side of Andrew Thomas. Well, however, over a season and a half in the Neal era, many fans have already given up on Alabama product being the answer at right tackle. While it's entirely too early to believe that Neal will not figure it out, it is proper to ask if he struggles or if a product of not being a natural fit at the right side? Should he be more of a natural fit on the left side? After all, outside of his sophomore season in Tuscaloosa, his high school and collegiate career were primarily spent on the left side. Let's see. His sophomore season at Alabama, he was the right tackle. His freshman, he was the left guard. Sophomore, right tackle. Junior, left tackle. Right. So although we know he won't replace Thomas, there's no reason why he could not play alongside Thomas at left guard. Left guard is a glaring weakness on the Giants' offensive line, but someone like Neal could bolster that position and conceal his deficiencies. The tape has shown that Neal struggles against speed rush off the edge. Well, you don't really have that when you're at the guard position. At right tackle, he's left on an island, and the results have been poor. But there is more to this game than pass protection, and Neal has done some nice work as a run blocker that has mostly gone unnoticed. And even Evan Neal mentioned that too. He said, I've done some good things, but usually, those things don't get pointed out. Only the negative things get pointed out. And he's true. He's right. As a guard, he would no longer be on an island. At the speed rush from between the tackles would be much more manageable than the speed rush off the edge. He would solidify the left side of the offensive line and provide the team with a dominant side to run behind. Oh, yeah. Could you imagine? You have like 700 pounds, right? Between Andrew Thomas and you got Evan Neal. That would be nice. Let's explore Neal's qualities that we think would make him a Pro Bowl caliber left guard. Double teams. Yes. Neal is great on double teams. His size and athleticism allow him to collapse a defender and open up massive lanes for running backs to run through. His double teams never get split, and in many cases over this and last season, Neal was not blessed with a guard who could bring the same level of power and intensity as he does. That's true. Imagine pairing him with Thomas and watching them collapse the entire left side of the defense. Both are athletic enough to peel off the double team and block a second-level defender, and whoever is left can handle the block on their own. He would also be a big help on double teams with Schmidt against a dominant nose guard, right? Sometimes John Michael Schmitz has had some problems. Maybe somebody a bigger, stronger, right? Nose guard, nose tackle, whatever you want to call it. He gets pushed back into the backfield. Well, if you got Neal, right, and you got the two of them teaming up on, right? Advantage Giants, right? Then you got say what you want about Neal, but the one thing you better mention is he can move. Yes, he can. And he moves people. As a guard, he's big and strong, which allows him to get movement on those stubborn nose guards who seemed anchored to the ground. He has a powerful punch that stops a bull rush, and if he catches a defender flat-footed, he can push them into linebackers' laps or plant them on the ground. One of the other underrated aspects of his game is his ability to pull or climb to the second level. There is not a lot of opportunity to do it at tackle. No, not with the Giants scheme. But the guards do quite a bit of it. Neal on trap blocks or kick-out blocks would be devastating. Watching that mountain of a man pull around the corner or run a defensive backs on a screen pass would also be scary. Yep. Most people think that if you can play left tackle, then right tackle should be simple, but that's not the case. Most basketball players cannot make a layup equally with either hand. Yes, in an empty gym with nobody around them, they may look good, but the story might be different when the bodies start flying. Yep. Let's see. The same logic applies to tackle. Some are just naturally better kick sliding to the left than they are to the right. Neal has never looked comfortable on the right side of the line. Feel and comfort play a large role in success. A return to the left side, even at guard, is a return to familiarity and comfort. It is a return to confidence. Never forget that most Giants fans were salivating over drafting Neal because of what he did playing on the left side at Alabama, not the right side. As a true freshman, he started at left guard, and as a junior, he was an All-American at left tackle. The move would allow him to tap into his natural gifts while also building the confidence that has to be shaken after struggles and after injuries. Now, you also remember, too, I mean, it's like you start looking, it's like, because if you move him to, you just start thinking about like what the guys that the Giants had, right? Once again, something you just kick yourself. But I mean, we got Andrew Thomas, we got Michael Schmitz, we have, we move Neal to left guard, right? I mean, and then you start thinking, unfortunately, for one reason or the other, we didn't keep Will Hernandez and Kevin Zeitler, right? Got rid of him as well too. Well, I mean, if you look, right, not that you're going to be able to see, but I mean, Will Hernandez has had a very good season this year, relatively good season, right? At guard, he's still with Arizona, right? He's done a very good job there. He's 67.9. He's great now at. His run blocking is 62.9, but his pass blocking 73.1. Will Hernandez, right? Then of course we had Kevin Zeitler. Now, of course, Zeitler's 33, years old. So I mean, he's up there, but his pass blocking, Kevin Zeitler at 33 years old, his pass block rate 81.4. Right? He's at right guard. I mean, he was kind of like a cap casualty, unfortunately, so we had to let him go. But I mean, could you imagine we still had Kevin Zeitler at right guard? Zeitler, we have Schmitz, right? Have Andrew Thomas, maybe move Evan Neal over there to guard, and you draft one of those two top tackles in the first round, then you have your offensive line right there. Right? I mean, since Zeitler's graded out of 70.1 so far this season overall. Last season with Baltimore, he was 74.7. 2021 with Baltimore, 75.1. I mean, he's just had some phenomenal, even after the Giants, the last 3 seasons, after the Giants let him go, right? Because, I mean, it's casual. He was, it was money. So we didn't want to keep him. But, I mean, it was just a shame. We had him for 2 seasons, right? But, I mean, ever since, the last 3 seasons with Baltimore, he's graded 79.7. This is in the pass blocking. 82.5 pass blocking in 2022 and 81.4 this season. 81.4 pass block rate. I mean, you just think of the guys that we had, for one reason or the other. I mean, we're worried about bringing in this guy and that guy. And you also figure, you look that, signing, what was it? What would it be? Kenny Golladay. Right? To all of that. I mean, so you figure, instead of signing Kenny Golladay, it really would have been nice if we would have kept one of these guards. All we wind up doing is, we go out of our way and we try to bring in these other pieces, and we still have not fixed the offensive line. I mean, you let Will Hernandez go. Kevin Zeitler's gone. Not that maybe Will was not an unbelievable. I mean, it wasn't that bad, and just goes to show you, he's a decent guard. Why? Because he's performing well with a very bad team, and he's performing very well. Well, if he performs well there, he's not performing that maybe as well here. What was that? I mean, is that the coaching? Is that scheme? I mean, we're not using the guy quite right. I mean, what's kind of going on there? Huh? Yeah, something's wrong. It's not the guy's not bad. I mean, he's playing pretty well over there. And then Kevin Zeitler. Well, we couldn't afford you, so he was like a cap casualty, I believe. So we have a real good guard here with us, but we just got to let him go. We can't sign Kenny Golladay, right? If we have Kevin Zeitler, so we got to weaken our offensive line, it's been weak for the last 300 years, right? We'll send maybe our best offensive lineman, send them away, right? Because we can't afford him, but so we can bring in Kenny Golladay. Say, it just sometimes it makes you just things that make you go, right? But so I mean, I said this is going to be very important, especially this season coming up, the next season. But the rest of this season, can Edmund Neal even stay healthy? Can he come back? Because we need as much tape on him as we can get, or at least Shane does anyway, because he's got some decisions coming up. Because I don't know if they're going to plan on drafting a quarterback early in the first. I don't know. I don't know if Marvin Harrison's going to be there. Of course, there'll be a couple other guys, but I mean, you keep hearing so much about what I keep hearing anyways. A couple of these tackles are really, really good coming out. And if you grab one of them, you got your right tackle. You got your left tackle. You got your right tackle. From over, you got your center, right? All right. Then we got the coaching staff here. This is the Giants going to have any coaching changes in the offseason. Of course, you keep hearing all this stuff about Wink and everything like that. But, about the Giants running back coach might wind up becoming the offensive coordinator. I believe it's Syracuse. I believe it is. I mean, you can get a running back coach. Now, you can maybe make it if you want to go back maybe into preseason. Right? So you can kind of start thinking about, McKay might be gone after this. You know what I mean? But I tell you what, the special teams. Of course, there was the blocked field goal. 14 seconds into the season, run back for a touchdown. Graham Gano got cleated or stepped on or something. Andrew Thomas running after him, pulls a hamstring. So, McGahee was maybe a little hot water there. You got guys jumping over the line of scrimmage to come in there and block extra field goals and stuff like that. That's not good. But, you can say that, especially the punting. Olszewski's has helped solidify the punt return. He's not he brought 3 of them back for touchdowns this year. No, that's not it. But he's catching the ball. Don't want to jinx him, but he's solidified the punt return. Okay. The punting, right? The punt coverage has been pretty good, and the Scottish Hammer's done a very good job this season. He's on a Pro Bowl selection so far. He's looking good. So you're not so sure about McGahee. I can certainly see him coming back. Wink, I think, has done an admirable job this season, right? Especially because we have no offense. No offense. It's supposed to be, of course, we had a couple bad games. Obviously, against the Dolphins, we gave up over 500 yards. I think it was. We gave up 640 to the Cowboys. We couldn't stop them to save our lives. That was horrible. So we've had a couple bad games. Yeah, absolutely. But we have no offense. And, you're going to have some clunkers time to time. Unless you have like 11 Hall of Fame defensive players on your team, you're going to have some clunkers. And the Giants have had a couple clunkers this season. It'd just be nice if somewhere along the line we actually got the offensive line and offensive figured out. So if you have a poor, pathetic offense, your defense is going to have a couple clunkers, and the Giants have had that. But I'm saying for the most part, we've done decently. So will Wink be back? Will Wink be back? We'll have to wait and see. Kafka, wow, that's going to be interesting. Interesting to see. I have a hard time believing it. That we have to shake something up. Now, Bobby Johnson, offensive line coach. He's been dealt with a horrible hand too. Absolutely horrible hand. Right? All these injuries and everything. So he's done an admirable job. Right. But some of the development of some of these guys. So it'd be interesting to see. But I have a hard time believing that all the Giants coaches will wind up being back again, because it's just say we have some injuries once again next season. Is this what kind of season we're going to wind up having once again because we have the same coaches? So I would be shocked if there wasn't somebody they wave bye-bye to. And of course, now you got Saquon is coming up on a milestone. Interesting. Saquon. Saquon Barkley has already had a memorable week after becoming the Giants' Walter Payton Man of the Year award nominee for the second straight year. Good for him. Absolute class act of a human being. And I say, and I know and I understand and all that stuff and whatnot, and blah, 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 well, we got to figure out our salary cap, and we can only allocate. I think that's the word, allocate so much percentage to a running back. We can't, we give him a little bit more, too much money, and it screws everything up. Come on. I mean, you're gonna have almost a quarter of $1 billion next season to spend on salary cap. I mean, come on, right? I mean, the thing is with Saquon, he's more than just a football player. He's an absolute class act human being. He's a giant. He bleeds blue. He wants to be on his team. He puts rear ends in the stands. People come to see Saquon. Okay. They want his autograph. They want this. Walter Payton, a nominee, right? For the second straight season, right? If the guy wants an extra $1 million or so a season, you got $250 million to play around with. You can't come up with another $1 million a year to sign him. And I get it. He's getting older and all, but he stayed relatively healthy last season. He stayed relatively healthy this season. You can't, you know what I mean? But it is what it is, hopefully at least if worse comes to worse, they at least try to franchise tag and get him back again. Because he's an absolute class act human being. The Giants' 6-year running back can also reach several statistical milestones when the Giants host the Packers on Monday night. Barkley has 4,946 career rushing yards and needs just 54 more to become the fifth player to reach 5,000 yards for the Giants. Brandon Jacobs is fourth on the franchise career list with 5,087. Joe Morris has 5,296. Barkley has 1,988 receiving yards and can become the fourth Giants player with 5,000 rushing yards and 2,000 receiving yards, joining Tiki Barber, Alex Webster, and Frank Gifford. Of course, you had Frank Gifford and Alex Webster. Let's see. Gifford also missed the season, but Gifford played from 52 to 64. Alex Webster, I think we got him in 54 from the Canadian Football League. So he was there from 54 to 64. So basically, the Giants had two guys, Frank Gifford and Alex Webster, playing side by side pretty much for almost like 10 straight years almost, where each one had one with 5,000 career yards and 2,000 receiving yards. So, I mean, those were some special times for the Giants from mid and late 50s to the early 60s. Very special times for the New York Giants. I said that two guys, Alex Webster, who also was the Giants head coach from 69 to 73, but Alex Webster and Frank Gifford, both guys played almost 10 seasons with one together, and they had one with 5,000 rushing yards and 2,000 receiving yards. So, finally, Barkley is on track to become the ninth player in Giants history with 7,000 total yards. He enters the game with 6,924. Ahmad Bradshaw is directly ahead of him with 7,168. So I'm sure he'll pass Ahmad by the end of the season. Barkley said it would mean a lot. Barkley said of the prospect of moving up on the statistical list, it would be special because the goal I said I want to be on the top of everything by the time it's all said and done. Well, I don't know about, they might. I mean, but the Giants offense has got to get so much better. I mean, Tiki's got over 15,000, right? So Saquon's over 8,000 yards away from Tiki. And if it's taken Saquon 6 seasons to get around 7,000, it's going to take him at least another 6 seasons. 6 or 7. So, I mean, Saquon will be here for what, 12 or 13 seasons just to try to get 15. I'm not sure if that's going to wind up happening. Let's see here. Yeah, let's see. Another statistical goal Barkley would like to reach is 1,000 rushing yards in this season for the fourth time in his career. He ran for a career high 1,312 yards in 2022. Barkley, who missed 3 early games with a sprained ankle, has rushed for 697 yards this season. So he just needs 300 yards rushing basically in the last 5 games. So he needs 60 yards a game rushing. He must average 60.6 yards in the final 5 games of the season to reach 1,000. So that's quite doable. Quite doable. Now, obviously, if he didn't miss those 3 games earlier on, but I mean, other than that, he's been relatively healthy. He's played, right? But I mean, if he didn't miss those 3 games, he'd probably be well over 700-800 by now, and probably well on his way to 1,000 yards rushing. Anytime you can rush for 1,000 yards in the NFL, it means something, Barkley said, especially nowadays where usually it's a pass-happy league. The one difference, the one thing is you can also look at is that when I was growing up back in the day, right, it was just 14 games. It was more of a running league back then, right? So, I mean, obviously for most of the team, things were, the goal was to get the running game going and keep the running game going, all that. So, you had some, 1,000 yards, but you had to average more yards per game because you only had 14 games back then, back in the 70s, right? Well, nowadays, you got 17 games, but they don't run as much. So it's still a catch-22. You got more games, but now they seem like it's more of a passing league, so they don't run as much, you know what I mean? So, but I mean, if you got a good running game, and if you can stay healthy, I mean, especially with 17 games, I mean, you got a good chance of getting 1,000 yards. But it's a long season. Also, that too, to stay healthy that long is not that easy either. Let's see here. So I guess it's definitely be a cool thing. So pretty much played 5 years technically, I guess 6, but the 5 and averaging 1,000 yards a year is not a bad start to the first half of whatever of your career. Barkley is particularly gratified to twin 5,000 rushing yards with 2,000 receiving yards because it demonstrates his versatility. And Barber, Webster, and Gifford are the only other Giants to do it. So I mean, he's got he certainly can do it. I mean, the thing would be, what do we got? I know Barkley has helped raise $7 million in critical funds. Let's see here. Okay. Now, I know he has some incentives, but I don't think he'll be reaching his incentives this season. The Giants gave him whatever it was, his salary, but they also gave him some incentives. So if he reached some incentives, obviously he'd make some more. But I mean, between he missed the 3 games, and we have no offense. I mean, I said, when we played the Patriots last, I think our longest drive was 7 plays. I mean, it's not like we have we had 4 drives that were 80 yards long. I mean, you get a lot of yards then. I mean, we had like a 6-play drive, I think, a 7-play drive, maybe 1 or 2 5-play. I mean, we had nothing. I mean, thank goodness for the defense against the Patriots. If it wasn't for the defense, oh my God, we probably wouldn't have scored any points at all. So, I mean, Saquon's going to have a very difficult time trying to reach his all the incentives that they laid out for him this year for his bonus on his salary. But he's getting there. He's got, as I said, 5,000 and rushing yards and 2,000 receiving yards. That's a pretty nice accomplishment. Now, the thing for him is, obviously, if he wants to keep moving up the Giants list, he has to keep signing. Obviously, you got to keep playing with the Giants. So, hopefully they can bring him back. As I said, from me anyway, anytime you have, a class act of a human being, as I said, he's more than just a football player. As you can see, Walter Payton nominee, right? He's an absolute class act of a human being. Class act ball, somebody, he's a captain. He's somebody they look up to and all of that. Saquon, somebody you want in that locker room. Somebody you want putting that jersey on, somebody you want running out of that tunnel, right? Somebody you want on that sideline. Saquon Barkley. Now, as I said, I mean, when you got darn near, this is just my way. Everybody's different. It's almost kind of like split down the middle, with almost kind of like a Daniel Jones kind of thing. Half the people I see, in the Facebook group, say, "What are you signing him for? What are you giving him all this money for? He's old. He's breaking down. He's this and that." And then other people are, pay the man his money and all that stuff and everything. But I mean, just to me, he's a weapon. He's probably the best weapon you got on offense. But also, he's just more than that. Right? As I said, you got darn near this year coming up, close to $250 million to spend in salary. If you can't come up with like another million or so a year just to make that guy happy, to keep him in Giants blue for a couple more years, I feel sorry for you. I say, because there's players and then there's guys, there's players, but, slash, just good people. And, you drafted him. He wants to be a Giant. He's been here for, 6 years now. Let's keep him in the Giants for at least a couple more years. I said he's a class act human being. Somebody want on the sideline, somebody want on the team, somebody want in the locker room. So he puts people's rear ends in the stands, right? So you dish him out another million or so a year to keep him happy, keep him on the team. But, in the long run, he's going to make you money as well, too. So, all right, guys, it's been 1 hour. All right, I'll be back again tomorrow. I'll tell you what, tomorrow, tomorrow, this time, right, tomorrow, whew, boy, I'll tell you, the fisticuffs are going to be flying up there in Dallas. I'll be doing a report here, and one eye on the screen here, one eye on my phone. What's going on with the Cowboys and Eagle game? Big game the next 2 nights. Huge nights for the NFC East. All right, guys, once again, whoever spent any time listening to me live, thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. Or if anybody spends any time watching the replay, this, once again, thank you. As always, you guys stay safe out there and go Giants. Woo! Oh, yeah.